Bunch basically is put together in company with the council and the legal authorities. So this is where Donck steps in. Donck, having lost his job up in Rensselaerswyck, he comes down to Manhattan in the midst of this turmoil, and because he has the legal knowledge and he has the languages, he knows how to speak to the natives, Kieft is put into a corner and everyone says, you've got to fix this problem, you got to do it now. So in summer 1645, he arranges two different treaty meetings between two different tribes. So he, under the advice and guidance of Donck, they put together two different treaties, one with the Mohawks and one with the river tribes down here. So one's earlier in the summer, one's later. So the one that happens down here is later in the summer. And the reason why we do the Mohawks first is because the Mohawks are very powerful tribes. If you can get the Mohawks on the page of peace, then you can get the other tribes on the page of peace. That's what the belief is. Because the river tribes here are a little bit smaller, dispersed, and they've been more affected by disease too. So their numbers are not as plentiful. So they have kind of they're not seen as powerful a force as the Mohawks, unless they have a purpose. And they certainly came together, and that purpose is 1645 when Kieft did what he did. So in steps Donck to negotiate two different treaties in one summer. So 1645 was a really important time period for this. Now, did it end all the violence? No. But it began a process of trying to bring normalcy back to the relationships between the peoples there. So we know from this that he must have been so versed in the Indian languages that he could conduct these affairs of the treaties. We don't have copies of them though. They were probably lost somewhere. But we have other treaties from the time from the 17th century that we can kind of refer to see how they were done. And they could take days. You want to elaborate on the treaties?
So what we know with treaties and treaty ceremonies with Native people would be a lot of gift giving. So one of the things that would happen is that the Dutch would present gifts. The Native people would present gifts. And so that these gifts were important. And there would be
Duffel cloth?
some duffel cloth, and what I might give to him might be some wampum. I might give some tobacco back, tobacco being symbols of peace, symbols of healing medicine as well. But I might also, there would be elaborate language. This would be coming from the orators, because, and he handed it to my left hand, the left, which is the closest to my heart, which is important for him to know. Because he might have offended me had he put it in my right hand, but to his world, the right is your sword hand, that is your active hand, that is, I would dare say, your masculine hand.
And your left hand was considered for dirty stuff.
Right.
Because they didn't have toilet paper back in the day.
Just you. And so by handing it to my left hand, he knows that the left is connected to my heart. And that he is giving this from his heart to my heart. And so language that would be given, you would have a council that would be, this would be, the sachem would be there, or his representatives would be there, this would be his speaker, warriors, and council would be there. They would typically do this sometimes at villages, sometimes they would go to the fort. I've read both, where they've gone to both places. And what would happen is that there would be language. Some of these treaties would take several days to a week to happen, because everyone in that native community had, every chief and vice chief and every warrior, every elder had to give their opinion, had to give a statement, and they all had to be consulted whether they agreed to this peace or not.
Now I can imagine, and we don't know for sure, that the Mohawk Treaty probably took a little less time than the one down here. Because you have a lot of tribes in this area. So you'd have a representative from each village, and they all have
their speakers.
And their speakers, and they all have to have a say. So, every day, hour after hour, and then you have to take time for lunch and break, and and
feasting, and there must be feasting.
There must be feasting.
And even if you're full, you have to keep eating. Even if you said, "Oh, well, you have to eat," and if somebody offers you food, you must eat
You
it.
have to honor what is presented to you. Yes.
And so, after several days, wampum would be given. A belt might be created. Wampum strands would be created, which would explain the agreement, and a pipe might have been passed. So, if Vanderdonk, who the native people might have seen as the speaker. So Vanderdonk, who might have been seen as the native people as the speaker for the Dutch, a pipe, and is the representative of the chief of the Dutch, who would have been by 40 still Willem Kuyf. He might have been Kuyf's speaker, and that's how they would have viewed it. And they might have passed him a pipe and offered him this pipe to smoke in this pipe. Hold on. Oh yeah. To offer him this peace, and that if he would smoke this pipe with them, that he would agree to this peace, that he would honor this peace.
And would his wife have been there since she knew all
Sure.
the languages?
And native people, there's a lot of treaties that we find and trade deeds that we find where it's chiefs and their wives are on the document. There's a couple from where I live in New Milford, Connecticut, where both the chief and his wife are both in the same document. So this pipe would then be passed to him. He would smoke this pipe, and then he would return it to me, and then I would, give it to the next person in council, or the next vice chief or clan chief that was there, and this would be a pact with the community that he is, and he might even do a physical language. He might take and if Vanderdonk, we don't know how fluid he was or fluent in native languages, but metaphorical language was incredibly important to native people. And he might have said that, the anger, that he might have brought a sword and snapped a sword and said, the anger that my people have is no more, that our weapons are now broken, and that we shall fight you no more. And he might have physically showed this and broken a sword or broken a metal object, saying,
kind of like what you've heard in movies, the bury the hatchet idea, where you're taking your weapon and you're physically doing something to it to make it unusable. Yeah, so just to show your empathy and your understanding of the situation. You want
Theatrical.
right. And this metaphorical language is well recorded by a lot of different people. And the native people understood this metaphorical language. And they might have broken a couple of their arrows, saying that these arrows that once pierced the bodies of the Dutchmen shall pierce them no more. And that we shall lay these things into the fire, where they can hurt no one no more. But this treaty might have taken several days to a week. And then there would have been feasting, and then there would have been sharing of pipe. There might have been some small trading. Alcohol might have been given.